This is the Australian Butchers Guild podcast, brought to you by Meat and Livestock Australia, the podcast for passionate butchers.
G'day and thanks for joining in with me for the Australian Butchers Guild podcast. I'm your host, Doug Piper. Before we chat with today's guest, don't forget to place your orders for the 2022 Summer Lamb Campaign point of sale kits. You've got until the 10th of December to get your orders in. And if you haven't received your ordering email or want to be added to our database to receive your free beef and lamb materials, contact us at butchers@mla.com.au with your shop details and with what you would like. And we'll make sure you are added to the Butchers database. In this episode, I'm catching up with the captain of the Australian World Butchery team, the Australian Steelers, Adam Stratton. Adam is an innovative and well-known butcher who's going to share a few of his secrets about his business and how he keeps coming up with new and exciting value-added products that keep his customers coming back. Adam Stratton owns Tender Gourmet Butchery in Hornsby, New South Wales. Adam's shop is on a one-way street, no parking, and located about 100 metres away from the outside of a Westfield shopping complex. Most people would think twice before going into a shop outside of a major shopping centre, but Adam had a vision and a plan and has continued to grow his business year on year. Smart marketing and never saying no is a part of his business success. Adam also has partnerships in other shops located around Sydney, and we'll talk about how he deals with some of those difficult business decisions when it comes to landlords and leases. Welcome, Adam.
G'day, Doug. How are you, mate?
Very well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Bit fatigued after, the big run through COVID and all that, but getting all geared up for Christmas.
Yeah, I bet you are, mate. And fresh back from a little breakaway with the boys, I see.
Yeah, I needed a freshen up, mate. I tell you, all the boys at work, they all had a break throughout the COVID time, and then it's just so stressful, so busy, and I just needed a break. I took my boys away. I don't know if I was getting a break because they were, driving me crazy at stages, but it was all good.
Yeah, that's good. You got to get out there and you got to have a bit of a break away from the shop and recharge the batteries, especially this time of year, mate. You've got a big one coming up.
Yeah, most definitely. It's I think it'll be a bumper Christmas. Just seeing people haven't been able to spend time with their families and all that, and I think, this Christmas is, in particular, it should be a pretty big one. It seems like it's a little bit more relaxed in New South Wales. So let's see how it goes. The numbers are coming through good, so I can only hope. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, mate. I'm sure you'll have a cracker like most butchers will this year. People they won't be able to travel overseas still, and catching up with family will be high on the agenda for, I think, just about everybody.
Yeah, well, let's hope so.
Your beginnings, I suppose. Where did you first kick off in the trade? Where did you start?
Well, look, it's funny. I grew up out the back of Liverpool in a place called Cartwright. It's a bit of a dive out there back in the days. And I started my apprenticeship out at Liverpool. And you wouldn't believe it, I had an uncle in the business. He had a butcher shop in Willoughby. And I wasn't going to TAFE or anything there. And I got talking to him at a wedding and moved from Liverpool over to the North Shore. So it was a big change for me, and did my apprenticeship for him over at Willoughby.
Westie coming to the northern suburbs, mate.
Oh, it was weird, but it was good. It was a big change that I made, and, it really changed my life, and living over this side and seeing how families grow up properly and learning, like over my way when I come from, there was a lot of drugs and things like that. So it was good to get out of there and get into a good family environment and, learn how things were done properly.
Yeah, so Willoughby, I had a butcher shop in Artarmon many years ago, and I think there was around about 7 or 8 shops just in that vicinity, which included Willoughby, and over the years we watched them all slowly close their doors for varying reasons. So it was a bit, I think I was about the second last butcher shop in Artarmon and in that whole area. It was quite a big change in the scenery.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. Like, I remember Willoughby, on Willoughby Road, it used to have about 4 butchers, and then there's not one there now. They're all like cafes and so forth. So yeah, it really does change the way it is this day and age. But there was butchers on every street corner back in those days, and over Willoughby, they were good meat eaters. There was a big Italian influence, and they like to come in there and watch you cut up a hindquarter and have the bags and put the meat into the bags and pack it individually and all that. So yeah, it was real meat eaters over that way. But times have changed.
It has. That reminded me of, I was over in Five Dock a few years back, dropped in to see one of the butchers down there. and they had a calf hanging up there in the butcher shop, and there was a couple of the locals there, and they were telling the butcher which cuts they wanted, and he was taking it off for them, and they had their own bag to put it in. And this is only like 5 years ago, so it's good to see that there's still some real traditional butchery going on there, and how a lot of the Europeans still regard fresh meat. It's very high on their agenda. It's got to be fresh,
Yeah, they used to love it, and they'd come out where the mincer was and get the mince as it's coming out the mincer and put it in bags, the multiples that they want. And I think they always used to go back and give it to a couple of family members, like the kids in the family and so forth. So, yeah, it was a real way of doing it back in those days, and, buying up bulk and coming behind the counter and packaging it. It was funny to see.
Yeah, a little bit different today, mate. So with health regulations and everything else we've got going on, you've got to keep all the customers on the other side of the counter these days.
Yeah, times have changed. Yeah, it's completely different. It was good to live through and see all those things. And if you tell your young apprentices about it, and that nowadays they wouldn't believe you. So
yeah, I'll tell you a funny story. I started my apprenticeship in Central Markets in Adelaide. Back when I think lambs were probably around about 99 cents a kilo, very, very cheap. And the Central Markets had about 7 butcher shops in a row. And we had an open window there, and you had a rail with a guy who was a spruiker on the busier days. He'd spruik off the specials. And a lot of the locals would come through there, and they'd be pointing at the meat. I want this, I want this, I want this. And every now and again, you get one local that stick their hand in too far. So the butcher would get his knife, turn it over, and slap him on the back of the hand with his knife. But he'd made sure he turned his knife over. Anyway, we had an apprentice there who actually forgot to turn his knife over and ended up cutting this woman's hand. Needless to say, he never did that again. But it wasn't funny at the time, believe me. And it wasn't me, because I was the other apprentice, so it definitely wasn't me. But it was this other guy, Skeeter, I think his name was. God, it was. Afterwards, it was. We saw the funny side of it, but she's probably still got the scars to show.
Did he keep his job?
Yeah, mate. Yeah. It was his fault, but it wasn't his fault. He was a left-hander, so that's his excuse anyway. I think that's what he was using. Hey, mate. Anybody of any significance had an influence on your career?
Oh, look, growing up, obviously, when you did your apprenticeship with your uncle, he obviously did, and he was pretty successful. I did, look up to him and see, how successful he'd become, and also, look, anyone that's gone into business and has got a shop and all that, look, honestly, I really take my hat off to them, because I know how hard it is myself to do that. So I've got a lot of heroes in the business that I look up to all over Australia, all over the world, and I think our business is hard. And we're very lucky that we can share things with each other and work with each other and show people ideas. So, yeah, I've got a lot of people that I have a lot of admiration for. But, probably just guys that stick to mine at the moment is people like Anthony from Vic's Meats. He's a great guy, great ambassador. And, I look up to guys like that. But also any person that's gone into business and, put their so-called, sorry to use the term, balls on the line, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Look, you're right about people that want to share their knowledge, and Anthony definitely is one of them. He's never one to hold back on what he knows and give you any advice, either be good or bad. He's an open and honest and very genuine fella. I've known him probably since the Victor Churchill days, since they opened up the shop. But and I didn't know him prior to that, but definitely one of the characters of the trade, and he's certainly leaving his mark there. Well, him and Victor anyway. Yeah, well, himself and Victor always have had time for me, and I've had some overseas guests come over, and interstate guys, and they've come and met us there and give us a tour through their shops and all that. So, they've always showed time to, give back to the industry, and people like those guys, all over the world, they're looked up to with their shop and the way they've done that beautiful shop over there at Wallara, and to show us time and show butchers through, and it's great to stand back and say, these guys are good guys, and I really appreciate people like those two fellas there.
Yeah, but there's also, and mate, I'm not pissing in your pocket, so to speak, but mate, you're also one like that too. You've never held back if anybody ever wants to speak to you. I know, I remember the first time I met you, I was selling sausage casings, and I used to call into your shop and say, "G'day Adam, how you going? You need any casings?" And you say, "Look mate, I don't buy my casings off you, but feel free to drop in." You've never turned me away, told me to go away. You always used to say, "Feel free to drop in any time you like." I never bothered you. But every now and again, if I was in the area, had a spare 5 minutes, I'd always drop in and say good day, and I think that's a trait that a lot of butchers do have, where they it's just a good networking trait, I think.
Yeah, look, and I've been working in shops where I've seen people like you guys come in when you're doing that, and they just give it a massive cold shoulder. Like for me, I don't want to do that. I want to talk to you. You're a human being. You're having a go, and you're trying to sell something. So why bump you off? And also, when people from other shops and they want to learn different things from interstate or locals, I'll open my door and I'll talk to them. What's there to hide? If we can share each other's ideas and help each other out, it's hard enough in business as it is. And, I've helped dozens and dozens of people who started out in business and people that have been in business and just need to freshen up, and come in and, that's how it works, our industry.
Yeah, and you've given a few guys an opportunity to come in with you with your business as business partners, haven't you, as well?
Yeah. What I've done in years, I've seen opportunities to expand, but obviously you can't do it yourself. And I've got a young family and that, and it's great to go in there and say, yeah, I'd love to have 4 or 5 shops, but you can't keep the standard that you want that you have in your normal shop. So for me, over the years, I've identified people with talent and then took them under my wing. And then, I've been the person who's put the financial investment in there. And then I've got them to go into there and mentor them all through with the marketing and mentoring, and then supported them. And then we've, generated successful businesses out of it. So, I need obviously the person to be switched on and be, passionate like I am. And then I can identify that and take them to the next level. So yeah, I've been very fortunate enough to have 4 shops currently doing the same kind of method.
Yeah, you've been very lucky to be able to get your hands on some great butchers to be able to trust and to go into business with you, and that's a credit to you because you're putting that training behind you. But sorry, you're training them to become a successful businessman and know exactly what it takes to run a business.
Yeah, I put them in there and I put them in charge. I don't stand over the top of them. I let them run their businesses, but in the background, I'm driving business to them, like with the marketing and the various things that we do with the media. But I'm also getting good deals when it comes to the shopping centres and sitting down and nutting out and crunching numbers and stuff like that. So I take that pressure away from the guys and let them focus on the retailing and doing things. So it's a pretty hard world to go in and do it all by yourself. And like I say, there's a lot of guys that go out there and open businesses by themselves. But if you got that little bit of support network that you can bounce off together, it definitely helps out and makes a great team.
I think one of the big issues I think a lot of butchers have is negotiating leases, and you hit on that just before, is negotiating with management. Any tips you can give to the guys out there and girls listening out there tonight?
Yeah, look, for me personally, you've got to sit down and you've got to be prepared to walk, right? These leasing guys, from what I've learned, they've got thick skin, they can handle it. You've got to be assertive, but not aggressive, but also what you find is most of the times out of it, you'll become friends with them. And for me personally, I sit down and I think they have full admiration with you when you sit down, try to nut out a deal. We bounce it back and forth several times. And sometimes, you feel like you're upsetting them and vice versa, but then things happen. If you go in there and you just fall into place and you say, yep, and they bully you, well, I'm telling you, the next time around when you go to do the lease, financially you won't be set up properly. So you've got to get that lease right, especially in the renewals. Not so much the first one, the second one, the renewals. So I've also got a consultant that I talk to and he kind of advises me and we work off and bounce it together. So some of the things I just nutted out a deal just recently, I was kind of like balking at. I was like, oh, can I really say that? And he was advising me to say it. And we nutted out a fantastic deal. And I thought if I tried to do that just myself, it probably would have been a struggle. So yeah, a consultant's always good. So you can get leasing consultants around and they definitely help you out.
Yeah, it'd be a wise investment to take on a leasing consultant, especially if you're going into a major shopping centre, because like you said, they're very thick-skinned. Everything's their way. But and I like what you said, be prepared to walk away, because I know so many young butchers and older guys that have gone into shops because they've just wanted to buy a butcher shop. They just wanted to have their own shop, and they've gone in there and very, very much not knowing anything about leasing and how it all works, just sign on the dotted line. It's a bit like, I suppose, reading the instructions to put something to IKEA together. It's all right. I know everybody else does it, so I know how to do it. So I'm just sign it and away I go. But there's just so many different pitfalls you can fall into.
Yeah, there definitely is. And as I say, when you're renewing a lease, like say you've done your first term and then you're doing a second term, you kind of get stitched up a little bit. So that's the one where you really need someone to help you out. And for me personally, like in the second one that I've just done in one of my particular stores, I was negotiating like to do a refit, and we're going to do the refit. So I got them to contribute a large sum of money, but also I got them to give me a rent-free period for building the shop, which is unheard of. This particular shop too, I had a financial backing of my house there, and I said to him, I've been in the industry now for 21 years running a business. I feel like I've got the loyalty for you guys to drop that personal guarantee against my house. And they didn't want to do that. I was prepared to walk. They did it. So, like some of the deals that you can do, you think can't be done, but you can if you sit down and do it properly. And one of the particular deals that I did a few years ago, this particular guy, we meet up, we go for a wine, a feed, and all this kind of stuff. And I was thinking back in the day, this guy's never going to talk to me again. But he just knows. He put the right person in the business. He got the pat on the back. He opened a shop in his centre, and everyone said, wow, you found a great butcher. And he loved it. So, yeah, you build friendships out of it as well. So it's funny.
Yeah, no, that's a good bit of advice, actually. I think a lot of butchers should take that on board and just remember that when they especially when they're going into a new shop or another business. So Adam, your first shop in Hornsby, how long have you been there for?
Doug, I come in when the Sydney Olympics was on back in 2000. So we've been there like 21 years. The years have flown by, and it's Hornsby's a great area, a great family area, and yeah, it's been a great shop for me.
Yeah, but how many blokes would open up or take over a butcher shop in a one-way street with no parking, 100 metres away from a Westfield shopping centre, and make it work, mate? You've done a fantastic job with what you've done there.
Yeah, well, actually, the way I looked at it, I thought it was a hole in the ground, the Westfield that was next to me when I took over, and it was getting built, and it got built pretty quick. And the previous owner was a little bit worried about, all the competition's going to come in. There was 2 new butchers, 3 new supermarkets. I just thought to myself, I'll use those guys. They're going to be my anchor to lure people in there. They're going to have parking for 10,000 people and all that. I'll back myself to put the foundation set in for the next year before it all comes, and then hold those people. So, yeah, we're pretty fortunate. I felt like it was really good to get in there before the centre got built. And then this massive centre got built, and then, we just cashed in on all the people from around it.
Mate, that's a credit to you being able to do that and having the balls to do it too, because a lot of guys, like you said, the previous owner was very concerned about Westfield going in there, and I got to say I'd be a little bit shaky about it too, knowing that there was a bigger shopping complex going in there, but also being outside of the shopping centre. It's okay to be inside, in the front of the majors like your Woolies and Coles. That's a great spot to be. They've got the foot traffic going past you, but outside in Florence Street there, in a little suburban street, it's a big gamble. But what's your point of difference, mate? I know that you've won a lot of awards for your sausages, and your value adding is some of the best around. So how do you keep it all going? Yeah,
look, probably about 10 or 12 years ago, Doug, and you were one of the pioneers of it, seeing all the value adding going up. I presume it was probably about that time, probably maybe 15 years ago. I started thinking to myself, you know what? If we just keep selling steaks, chops and sausages, it's not going to cut it. So then I asked a particular supplier, where's the hottest places to go to see value adding around? And he sent me 4 or 5 shops, and I went out there and I just saw a few things that they're doing. And I saw a massive amount of pastry going through one particular shop. And I just thought to myself, this is bloody crazy. So I just brought a few items there, and then I went back and put my own twist on it, and people were just going, wow, this is phenomenal. But, we had to back ourselves and sell it to the person and say, this is 35 minutes at 180, and put a sticker on it and so forth, and make sure that they got it right. And what I was finding after I did that, they were coming in and saying, what's next? What else have you got? What else? So it was like adding a whole new type of variety into my shop, that people were just going, this is phenomenal. You've got all these new things, and it's great. And they were telling family members and so forth. So what I did is, I was thinking back to myself back then, puff pastry. I can't believe I'm going through 10 rolls of puff pastry a week, 10 kilo rolls of them. This is ridiculous. I'm a butcher, not a baker. And it was just flying out the door, and it still is. And so back in those days, I just started implementing it, putting the puff pastry, putting a lot of different value-added lines in lamb, beef, and pork. And then it just all took off. And for people, I see some of the older people out there now, they say, oh, it won't sell in my shop, won't sell in mine. It will. You've got to just persevere with it and push it along, because we sell a phenomenal amount and it really boosts your GP and helps you out.
Pastry is it's probably not the butcher's best friend, because we're normally working in as everyone knows, there's a bit of blood and a bit of meat on the benches, and you've got to make sure those pastries are kept nice and clean when they're developing them, when they're putting all together. So having a separate area is a must, I suppose, especially when you're playing around with that sort of those sort of products. But trying to keep, I suppose, ahead of the times. What are you seeing? Like, pastries have been around for quite some time now. So what are you seeing as I suppose, trending products that are coming through?
Oh, definitely a real big emphasis on low and slow. So if you can create things for people that is ready to go, like we started doing like beef shorties that are wrapped up in the paper. They've got the dry rub on them. They've got the sauces with them, and we sell it as a complete rib package. We do the same with a brisket. We do the same with a USA ribs, but also the condiments to match up with those things and that. So I'm seeing the young bearded hipster dude come in now, and he's cashing up $200 into our shop, whereas those guys there 10 or 15 years ago were lucky to buy 2 sausages. So, I think what we're doing is they're watching these cooking shows on Foxtel and getting an understanding on how to cook, like the pit masters, and they're saying, let's go to the butchers and, do it themselves. So I'm always making sure that I'm staying ahead and getting the things that they want. Hot items like the osso bucca, a whole shin on the bone and all that's hot in our shop at the moment. So we've got to have it, and just keeping on top of it and making sure that people have, they're coming in and it's available. Yeah,
the power of social media, mate. A lot of the smoking, the slow cook, low and slow groups, there's so many different social pages out there, and I know I've joined quite a few of them over the time, and there's always somebody putting a question out there, what's cooking this weekend, and the different products that people are cooking, or someone looking for inspiration to cook. I cooked a hind shin a few weeks ago, and it was good fun, and the end result was perfect. You just cannot go wrong with something like that.
Yeah, well, I did similar, and I think we looked at the meat stock video, and I did that myself, and the price of it's not expensive. Like, it's around the $20 a kilo, but the outcome is phenomenal, and it's just a talking point. It's a centerpiece for the table, and when you do it, like, it's you just sit back and go, wow, what a great result. So yeah, that's what I find. I find people are just looking at trends, and we still do heaps and heaps of value added, but we're finding that there's a massive growth spurt in this particular low and slow type thing.
I remember one of the last times I walked into your shop, and I think I noticed that probably 3/4 of your case was value added.
Yep, that's right. Like, you see my shop at Hornsby, I think there's probably 60 trays on show. I would say there's probably 40 of them that are value added, and people just love it, and it helps your bottom line. Like, this day and age, if you're just doing the steaks and chops, you're going to find it a little bit hard. We now, in one of my stores at Warringah, have diversified and did a burgers and grill section, and we're finding now that's even better with our GP. We're finding we're getting the burger that we're selling in a shop for $3, we're turning into a burger for $14, and really seeing great things out of that. And people are loving it, because it's like, oh, you're grounding the meat next door in the meat section, and then you're coming over and you're cooking it fresh in the burger bar. So, that's been a good winner for us too over at that store.
It's a bit of a light bulb moment when you're sitting there. This happened to me on the weekend. We were sitting there in a restaurant in Dubbo, and we all had burgers for lunch, and I think they cost us around about $13, $14 each or something, and we had a couple of chips. And we said, how good are these burgers? The chef was actually mincing the meat in the back of the restaurant, and everything was put together in front of you. Yet if you go to one of the big QSRs like your McDonald's and that, they charge you like $7 or $8, and the burgers, they're about half the size. The meat, the burgers, probably a third of the size, and you walk away and you go, that was okay. But we all walked out of that. I think there was 15 of us. We walked out of that restaurant. You couldn't get more content. Having a freshly made burger, whether it be cooked or raw, a cooked section in your butcher shop, fantastic. If you haven't got a cooked section, still aim those burgers at your customers. Like, do a fresh grind, do a mixed grind of chuck and brisket or chuck and short rib or whatever you want to call it out, but call out what's in it too. That's what I find a lot of customers or a lot of consumers are looking for these days. They want to know what's in the food that we're eating.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, definitely the brisket and the chuck burgers, labelling them that way certainly makes people buy them a lot better because, we're actually doing a cut of burger down there where we get the chuck and we get the brisket, we run it through the mincer, the hamburger plate once, and then we get half of it and run it through the second time. Half of it we keep coarse type thing. And we're trying to get those two different cuts into the burger, so it just gives it that different texture when you're biting it. And then we're just adding the salt. And it's absolutely beautiful doing it that way. But I'm sure that people have got all their different methods the way they do it. But that one's working really well for us.
Yeah, one of the best burgers I think I've eaten anywhere was a butcher's burger. Was, I think, Trevor Hill's one from Adelaide. He put it in the Sausage King. I think I mentioned it the other week, but it was just a brisket burger. And that's what it was. It was just a brisket burger, and it had a little bit of salt and pepper on it, and you could taste the meat, you could taste the brisket. It was just absolutely sensational.
Yeah. And as I say, this burger bar, we've got another store that we're doing up now in March, and it'll be ready to go. Exactly the same concept. We're utilising things like the combi ovens in the shop at Warringah Mall, where we're making pies in the butcher side, and we used to use a pressure cooker and make one batch at a time. Nowadays, we're doing 3 batches, putting them in the combi oven overnight, come in the next morning, and they're ready to go. So you have your advantages by having all this cookery equipment in the shops, and you can bounce them off together. And the pies have been a real winner for us by doing them that way. And we're able to be faster, have more pies on show, and make them more efficient too.
A combi oven's rather expensive to purchase, or you can get them right quite reasonably cheaply?
Yeah, well, you can get like second-hand ones and that. We got the Onyx one, which is a pretty good one. It's got a self-cleaning thing in it as well, so it cleans itself. It's so sophisticated, does everything. And we cook them. We make burritos, we do nachos, we do all these different things, pies and everything through them, spring rolls, do everything. And it's so good to use. It's great. And I think in a lot of butcher shops, if you got the space, it would be one of the first things I'd buy.
Yeah, it was a little bit frustrating earlier in the piece when we first started doing a lot of the value-adding workshops around the place. When you'd walk into a butcher shop and they had a combi in there, they'd obviously gone to a lot of expense to put it in the butcher shop, and it was sitting there doing nothing. And you'd ask the question, what do you do with that? And it's, we do the odd roast every now and again when people order it, or blah blah blah, and you think to yourself, that thing should be used at least for 4 or 5 hours a day to get value out of it, and creating the things like the pies, because meat pies have been around for a long time. I remember in Artarmon there was a butcher shop in Lane Cove that used to sell his pies around to other butchers. One of the first guys that I know of, they were probably around before, but they started off doing a chunky beef pie, and then they changed it to a chunky pepper pie, and they had a whole heap of other flavours. But they were all cooked in a combi. They did a great job back then, but looking at these other butchers as I go around their shops and that, and just see this machine sitting there, I say, what a lost opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that's where, like, I know the guys at the TAFEs were doing courses where you could learn things like that, and that's probably where you just got to do your research. If you're not familiar or not understanding the best method of using that particular machinery, either ask some of your peers in the industry to help you out, but even the TAFEs, because I was pretty sure the TAFEs were running courses on utilising the combi ovens and so forth. So, yeah, definitely a waste if you're not using it.
Yeah, I think Benny and the boys over there at Granville TAFE, I know they've got a combi in their kitchen there. They've got a fully equipped kitchen, which you've probably seen, which is it's a magic workplace what they have there. So I'm pretty sure they'd be doing all sorts of courses to help butchers out with their cooking. Hey, I'm pretty sure they'd be quite happy to talk to anybody at the moment to help them along in the trade.
Yeah, well, I actually saw they were doing a course meat and brew the other day. So they're doing like home brews plus teaching how to do low and slow. So I'm pretty sure that they're pretty versatile when it comes around to helping people work out how to use machinery.
Well, you've got two of the best there. You've got Benny, who's a Ben Barrow, who's probably is a master brewer who's been brewing his own beer for years and years and years. And then you've got Andrew Morabito, the master of salami and slow cooked. So you got two great guys there.
Very knowledgeable, both of them.
Oh yeah. So if anybody's out there looking to do a short course, they do some short courses. They've got their beef and brew. Get in touch with the guys at Granville TAFE. I think it's a 2-night course, I believe. I'm not too sure, but anyway, they'll be able to point you in the right direction with that. But make sure you contact those guys.
Oh, for sure.
Mate, marketing. You mentioned marketing earlier. I remember a long time ago, going back 12 years ago, I think it was. I was sitting up there on my way to, I think I was taking the shortcut through to Dural, through Galston Gorge, and a bus went past me. And I was talking to somebody on the phone. I can't remember who it was. And we were talking about this bloke in Hornsby called Adam Stratton. And this bus went past me with Tender Gourmet Butchers on the side of the bus. and I said, "You're not going to believe me. Guess what's Adam's just gone past me." Going, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, I've just seen the bus go past you. You had this great big decal on the side of a bus." You know, marketing yourself like that is brilliant in your own area. You know, a few guys have tried different types, but that was the first time I'd seen that, and I thought, wow, this guy has his head screwed on and he knows exactly what he's doing and how to get through to the customers. How well did that work for you?
Oh, it's awesome. Like it works great. People mention it like yourself. Look, the thing with marketing, right? A lot of people do marketing and they might do radio or do print or do this and that and they're expecting instant results. It doesn't happen straight away. It's the penetration of the Tender Gourmet Butchery. The Tender Gourmet Butchery, whether it's a bus, whether it's on the radio, whether it's in the print, whether it's social media, you've got to keep at it. You just can't stand back and say, I'm doing a bus, let's see what's happening. Yeah, it's got to be everything happening at once. So for marketing, we do budget ourselves a fair bit in our business to market ourselves in all the different aspects, including social media, and we do see great results. We also do the stuff where privileged enough to get the opportunities to do stuff on the TV when it comes to the current affairs, the Today shows, and things like that. So we utilise that as well. But that's probably a spin-off of seeing us in or hearing us on the radio, seeing us on bus and all that. That's where we're getting those opportunities. So marketing is very important, and just you've got to be patient, guys. You can't expect just an overnight result.
Yeah, you're right with the social media part in particular. You look at your likes and everyone goes, "Oh, geez, he's only got 3 likes of that." But then you've got to look at your reach, and your reach is where your impact is. So you might only have 3 or 4 likes on a post, but yet you've got a reach of say 1,500, which is that's pretty darn good really for a small butcher shop. So you've just got to be consistent. You don't overdo it, especially on social media, because people get bored and they don't look at what's going on. They just say, here he is again, here he is again, here he is again, and it becomes white noise. But if you do it consistently, but not every day, so every 2 or 3 days, I think that's where you really get the penetration. That's when people sort of tend to pick up. But you've got to keep it interesting, don't you? It's a bit like the butcher shop, a bit like changing your window around. It's a bit like the new products that you have. You've got to keep it interesting for them.
Yeah, and I think you've got to be a little bit inventive in the way that you do things. Like, just today, and I told you about it, we're doing some filming for Christmas, and all our Christmas products this year are going to have a QR code on them. So we've said, look, no more recipes going out, no more of this. We're doing a QR code for every product that we make, or like a ham, for example, and I'll say, want to know how to glaze me? Hit the QR code, they'll go straight through to our website. They're in our website, so we've got these people looking at our website, and then they'll hit the button, and then I'll see a 30-second demonstration on how to do it. So that's a little bit forward thinking, and we're utilising the experience of people using a QR code now. So we're planning that for this Christmas. So I think that's going to be a real winner for us this year.
Yeah, that's a great marketing tool to use. It's like you said, everybody's pretty used to using them now, so why not capitalise on the new technology that's out there? It's been out for a little while, but no one's really known how to use it. I got to be honest, mate, we've used them here a few times, and I used to think, what's this thing for? You know, doesn't really make, looks like some sort of a transformer logo or something, and now it's, you see one, you whack your phone up, and it can give you whatever it is, it'll give you the information straight up.
Yeah, and it's better than relying on one of the staff members to remember to get a recipe card, and then they forget, and the customers go on to cook it, Christmas Eve, and then your name's mud if they haven't got it. We've got a simplified area now and doing it this way, and I know that they'll be able to go in there and get tips for anything they're doing over Christmas and do it confidently.
The another thing that you hit on it earlier too, is your involvement in the press as well as on the free-to-air TV sort of thing. A lot of times we see you out there flying the flag for the butchers, and one of the things that I really appreciate, and I think a lot of butchers and a lot of industry people appreciate, is that you're always positive about it. You don't put a negative spin on anything. You're positive about what you're saying, and you're supporting the independent butcher channel, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of butchers out there that really appreciate you doing that, because if you start putting a negative spin on something, it sort of sounds a little bit like sour grapes at the end of the day, or it can be misconstrued that way, but keeping it positive, I think, is very important.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I've been fortunate enough to be put through media training with you guys and other channels throughout our industry. And I think one of the things there is about when you get a microphone put in front of you, you think about what you're saying and you think about the ramifications. And for me personally, I don't want to have a bloke over there at Dubbo or, Timbuktu complaining that the butcher got on TV and rubbished our industry. I'm sticking up for our industry. I love it. I want to be there, and I want to tell these reporters, I'll give you the answer the way I want to give you the answer and the way I've been taught to. So for me personally, it's about representing our industry, but not tarnishing it. I don't like it when I've had a couple of negative stories and I've turned the jobs away and I said, nah, you're best to go talk to someone else. And then I get a little bit worried that the person that they're going to talk to is going to put us in a bad situation as well. So it's a catch-22 situation. So I just like to try to put a positive twist on things for us.
No, it's much appreciated, mate. The World Butcher Challenge, the big one coming up next year. So you're the captain. You've been the captain for, what's it now, about 3 or 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah. Been a captain for a few years. Yeah, no, it's exciting. Like, in Ireland, we're very, very close to taking the whole thing out. And it was a flick of the coin, we just missed out. But we got some really good results in our sausages and other aspects of it. We were training for this one, which was supposed to be a year ago. And we're a fair bit into our training. We had things going really good. We're probably like 60% going good with our timing, because it's all about timing and working as a team. These competitions in the world ones, they're really difficult because you're relying on your person in your team to give you things at the right time and this and that, and then you've got to get everything right. So, it's coming up. It's supposed to be in September. Like, we'll have to get cracking into training probably in about February, March, and then just really move it. We'll probably do training each month leading into September and then go over there. We've got a theme that we're going to do. We've got all our ideas. We've got our planning there. So it's exciting. It's going to be tough. Like, I'm watching some of the social media with the European one where they had the French guys and the Italians and Spanish and the Germans, and, they did some pretty good stuff. So, we'll have to be on top of our game, but we've got a very, very good team, and every person in the team is really good at what they do. And the team has picked on, spots that need to be filled, like if there's boner need to be there or a finisher and so forth. So, exciting times. It should be good. I can't wait to get back in the arena. And I've been into the arena. It's at Sacramento. It's a big basketball court. And just walking in there, I had goosebumps. And, I was actually like very emotional that day because I thought to myself, I'm a butcher and I'm standing in this big arena and we're going to perform here. So, it's a real eye opener, and they've done a great job with the WBC. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
So who would have thought the boy from Cartwright would end up in Sacramento or travelling throughout the world, showing people how he can cut meat and make all sorts of value added products?
Well, Doug, I couldn't believe it. Like, you know yourself, last year, walking through the White House and thinking to myself, what am I doing? I'm in the White House. I'm standing near the president and stuff like that. The opportunities that I've had, I've just run with it. And, I've never, ever had anything. I left home with nothing. And, I believe that if I can do it, I didn't get the highest marks at school. I just was very passionate about what I do. If I can do it, anyone can do it if you really set your mind to something. And, for me personally, I've worked hard on what I've had to do and got results. So I've been very fortunate. Hasn't been just handed to me. I've had to work hard. And, it's been great.
No, you've certainly done very well for yourself, mate. Take my hat off to you. You've done it with pride and integrity.
Yeah, it's been good. And, I've been happy enough to be able to see people that I've had work under or work with grow in their businesses and go well. That really makes me feel so happy to see that too. I know you interviewed young Dan a couple of weeks ago, and at the stage when I met him, he was just he needed help, and mate, we had a talk and a chat. And we've been on a trip to Western Australia looking at different shops together, and we've built up a really good friendship, and he's firing now. And his friendship and what he's achieved, I'm just, it's just so happy about. And, that's what happens in our little happy family,
Yeah, no, yourself, Dan, Paul, Luke Leeson's still in the team. Lukey, yeah, Luke, Colin and Dale, that's it. I was going to say another Dan. Dale up there in on the sunny coast. Yeah, it's a great team that you've got there, and everybody brings a little bit of something different there, don't they? Everyone's got a different skill, a different thing to bring to the table, which is I think a formula for a very strong team and a great presentation for next year. I'm really looking forward to it, mate.
Oh, well, I'm excited. Like working with blokes, like we got to every year, every time we have the WBC, there's always a rotation. For me personally, I've been pushed aside one year to give other people a go, and that's the way it goes. Like we've got two new guys in the team this year. Dale brings a lot to the team. He's got a cooking background. And, the relevance with cooking in our industry now and what we're doing, it's so good to have him in the team. And he delivers a lot there too. And, I'm really looking forward to getting on the big stage with guys like him and Paulie and, Luke. Luke's very clever at what he does. And, it's so good. We're very fortunate. And Colin's been in the team for a couple of years. He's Mr. Fussy, and he's a great guy. And and he's very, very fussy, but it's a great team, great balanced team. So really looking forward to it.
That fussy shows in his shop, doesn't it?
Oh, his shop is beautiful. It's just like if any of you guys listening want to go see a great shop, go to Zetlin in Sydney, and Colin's shop is like, you'll just look at it and you just stand back in awe. He's done a great job there. He's got a little cook section too, which absolutely smokes it at lunchtime. And he's got like a barrier where they're all lining up and they're zigzagging in the line up to get it. And, he does a great job. Great team. Got a lot of staff there, well-trained, look beautifully groomed and all that. So, great shop to look at.
Yeah, and the best part of all, mate, it's right out the front of a Coles.
Yeah, that's right.
And he gets them before they go in there.
That's 100%.
Yeah. So, mate, what are your feelings for the future of the industry, of the trade? What do you think it's happening? Are we in a good spot at the moment? Is it going to get better hopefully, or?
Look, I think the problem at the moment, and it's a problem for everyone, is staff, right? There's a staff shortage left, right and centre, whether you're looking for a person to work on the counter or you're looking for a butcher or apprentice. It's really, really hard. So I think what you've got to do is you've got to focus on the people that you've got now and try to retain them. And what I mean retain them is look after them, really look after them, because there's not the guy around the corner that's going to fill their position. And then from then on, I think what we've got to do is, for me, I've taught a lot of people to come into our business and they're non-skilled how to cook and value add. right? Because I can't find apprentices, and I don't know why apprentices aren't around. So I'm starting to get people like Nepalese guys and that in there and teaching them how to make these products and get them out. And they do them very fussy and meticulous and make them great. So I think you just got to keep yourself open there and think, well, if I can't find butchers and can't find apprentices, I will find a person and teach them. And that's what we've had to do in our shop. In particular, Macquarie, he's got quite a few of them over there. So it's just one of the things that's either get the manpower in and teach them how to do it, or, be the person that's working 7 days a week, not to getting any days off and all stressed out.
That's great, mate. It's a good way to run your business. I think there definitely is a labour shortage, and not just with the older butchers or the qualified butchers, but also with the apprentices that are coming through. We're not seeing. I think they've had a pretty good year this year, really, but COVID, I think, has sort of stopped a lot of guys going into the workforce this year. But let's hopefully we'll see a few more young faces coming through, because we got to face it. That's the future of our trade, and we've got to look after them. And given the right training, they'll succeed and become future business owners.
Yeah, and really work hard on succession planning. I'm a big succession planning type of person. I get people knowing each other's jobs. So get the guy that dug in your business to learn how to order, get him to do this, get him to do that. And what you'll find is the better you teach your staff and the more you teach them, don't hold it all in yourself and try to do it yourself. Get it out there and let these guys learn. It'll give you opportunities and a bit more freedom to, move around and expand, maybe just have the extra day off or whatever. But I so often see guys always do the same job and they don't want to teach people how to do it. You've got to be more open and free yourself a bit.
One of the things we've always said is the business owner isn't always the best butcher in the shop. That's not always, but a lot of times he's not. The business owner is the guy with the capital, but the butcher in the shop is the person that they rely on to get the money back in the bank, and by training these guys up, you're silly if you don't. You've just got to give them the opportunity to prove themselves that they're better than just cutting meat. They can also take on a lot more of the admin side of it as well, and manage the business for you. Because say you can go on a holiday with your boys up the north coast in a camper van, or you can go head off and go and have a look at other butcher shops around the place and see what they're doing, because it is just so important to have that succession plan happening.
Yeah, and definitely, like as I say, try to teach people the jobs and try to retain the people that you got. These skilled people that you're training, you want to keep them there. If they're leaving, work out why. Like try to have that balance where, and it won't work in every place, but you might go out and you might just go to the cricket together or go to the footy, spend a little bit of time. And I'm fortunate in my position, in my shop at Hornsby, I've got 5 guys that have been there over 10 years.
Wow. Not many butchers can make that claim, can they?
No, and it's been good. They love what they do. They love their work. They're coming to work. They're not like crash test dummies and they're saying, I've got to cut this, cut that. They're ready to learn something each day. And and you're giving them a responsibility. I'm saying, right, you're in charge of this. I've got a fellow who's fully in charge of online, and our online business is phenomenal. But this guy here, he's really, really tech savvy and really good at what he does. So I've identified that. He's in charge of it. And the numbers that we do online is ridiculous. But I saw he was good at that area and we utilised him. So you might have someone in your business that's like that you're not utilising properly.
Yeah, now definitely right there. The online side of it is very important, and having the right, just finding someone with that skill that is a butcher. And let's face it, a lot of the younger butchers coming through do have a lot of knowledge about how everything works with online and social. So definitely use them to your advantage.
And it's pretty satisfying for them when they're getting results, like they're standing back and they're in charge of that and they're getting results. They're like, you know what, I want to go to work tomorrow. Everything's rolling along good. So, I think that's part of the retaining type thing when you've got them, learning new things and doing things for you and actually delivering, and they feel like they've got a position in the shop.
Yeah, definitely. Well, mate, been great to catch up with you. I haven't seen you for nearly 2 years. Until tonight. Mate, really good. Thank you very much for coming on board tonight and sharing your insights and some of your secrets or your business practices, I suppose we might call them. And I'm sure a lot of butchers out there appreciate it too, mate.
Yeah, well, I hope it can be a help. And as I say, business is not easy. And if anyone wants to pick up the phone and call me anytime for any advice on leasing or anything that they need a hand on, I'm always there. We're one big family. We're all working. It's gone are the days where the guy down the road, he's a competitor. You don't talk to him, this and that. It's different.
Yeah.
We've got to be together.
Yep, we've got to work as one, mate. So let's continue the fight for the butcher.
Yeah, all right.
All right, mate.
Thanks, Doug.
No worries, mate. Thanks a lot, Adam, and we'll catch you soon.
Cheers, buddy.
Well, that's a wrap, and thanks for listening today. If you want more information about anything we discussed in today's episode, simply drop me an email at butchers@mla.com.au. I'm Doug Piper. Have a great week.
You've been listening to the Australian Butchers Guild podcast, produced by The Sound Business.